Now tuned into the greatest.
So when that bag come, I won't fumble. I'm just stacking on the low, but hey, I'm tired of being humble. Let me get to it. That motivation music. Get control of your life, don't let nobody else do it. Cause I'm not gonna have Metro S550s cruising. Feel like you winning on it.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, or even if you just want to outsmart me on something I said, go ahead, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And then shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. This can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but you better go get them tickets. Baseball season is going strong. Obviously, a bunch of concerts and stuff going on right now, so you can definitely use the promo code for that. But if you're really balling, you can go see the Pacers in Game 4 happening against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So that's going to be crazy. But let's talk about Game 3 because Game 3 was amazing. I loved what I seen from a play and a basketball standpoint. But before I really harp on Game 3, I want to give you some stats to keep in mind as I talk about the game here. So in Game 3, starting with the Oklahoma City Thunder, SGA, he had 24 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 6 turnovers as well. And he shot 45% from the field. Now, this is considered a bad game for SGA, and it's just crazy that him having 24, 8, and 6 is considered a bad night. So while out there, Chet played pretty decent, 20 points, 10 rebounds off 40% shooting, and then J-Dub gave a solid 26 points there, so he was balling. And then the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton, he had 22 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds, all off of 52% shooting. He was dominant. Siakam had 21 points, but the biggest help here for the Indiana Pacers was Benedict Mathurin. This man had a standout performance like no other, 27 points off the bench, off 75% shooting. He led the game in scoring, and he also dropped the most points off the bench in the NBA Finals since Jason Terry in 2011. So this man really was the game changer. Also, TJ McConnell coming off the bench and really being a big spark for the Indiana Pacers. He only had 10 points, but I believe he had 5 steals. So it was just crazy, man. And it was an amazing night for the Indiana Pacers. Defensively, offensively, and just the crowd was in it. They got a lot of momentum. So, man, it was lovely. However, the biggest thing I noticed here was the turnovers. They forced a lot of turnovers from Oklahoma City. OKC, man, this is not a team that really flipped the ball a lot, and they were flipping it left and right, making a lot of bonehead mistakes and things like that in this Game 3 here. But I think a large credit to that is because they were gassed. The Pacers, they played fast, they played with pace all game. They were intense on the defensive end, and this caused the Oklahoma City Thunder to struggle and to flip the ball and make a lot of simple mistakes that they usually don't make. And I can tell you they were gassed because when you watch at late game, third, fourth quarter, you see guys hit the ground and they're laying there for 5 minutes. You know a player is gassed when they're laying there for 5 minutes after they fall to the ground. Another issue, free throws. Never seen them miss that many free throws all playoffs, but yet they were missing left and right. And that seems like it's just an issue where mentally you're probably struggling a little bit because the defense is tough and you're also out of breath. And you could see during timeouts, dead balls, man, these guys just looked like they were done. Hands on knees, bent over, hunched over, head cracked all the way back, breathing heavy. Like this team looked exhausted. And they got ran out the gym. So I got to give credit to the Indiana Pacers for playing with pace. They kind of figured something out in Game 3. And like I've said plenty of times, both of these teams are great at making adjustments game after game. So I'm sure we'll see some sort of adjustments here with this OKC Thunder team because, they are extremely talented as well. And I'm sure we'll see some adjustments from the Pacers too because both of them were great. Now, however, one of the things, too, I kind of wanted to touch on was the defensive scheme from the Indiana Pacers. So I mentioned they amped up the defensive intensity here. And one of the things I think was probably the most impactful in terms of playing defense here was the fact that they sent doubles at SGA. I mean, Shai, he's an extremely talented player, can score on anybody 1v1, can score on double teams, which he did multiple times. This dude is really just a pure bucket here. And everybody, they usually get on me because they like, oh, bro, you always hate on SGA. SGA is a pure bucket, man. I just dislike how he foul baits sometimes, which we've seen a little bit in game 3, but ultimately the biggest issue is that he had to go against a double team and players that were making him work every single possession. You had McConnell guarding him full court. You had Nimbar guarding him full court. You had another guy guarding him full court. You had 3-4 different people guarding him full court all game. Like, this is the basketball that I love. This is the game that I love. Watching guys full court press from start to finish of the game, because it's that important that you force a turnover, and it's that important that you wear the other team down and win games. This is the game I grew up on. This is the game that I love so much when I'm watching basketball on any level. Show me that you care. Show me that you want to win. Forget all that being cool stuff and looking cool, trying to wait for the defense or wait for the offense to bring the ball up. No, go get him. Go get him and get the turnover, force a turnover, and create an easy bucket. That's what the Indiana Pacers did multiple times. And McConnell was a big part of the reason the Pacers were able to do that. When he was in, again, he had only 10 points. It was pretty much a silent 10 points, but it was impactful. Some of these points from McConnell came off of just getting a steal on the inbound play. Like, that's free money right there. And you don't get that type of free money unless you full court press. So, this is the game that I love. I loved witnessing this right here, and I thought it was something special. Now, one of the things OKC is probably going to have to do to combat that is really just get others involved, man. The guys got, like, Lou Dort had a great shoot night. I think he was 4 for 5 from the three-point line. J-Dub, obviously, 26 points. Chet did his thing, had a double-double. But you're just going to need a little bit more, man. You're going to need a little bit more from everybody else, because SGA can only carry for so long. And if he's going against doubles the whole time, he can only do so much. I think the Pacers kind of maybe take the approach of, all right, well, we're going to let him get his 30-piece. It ain't nothing you can do about that. We're going to make it as difficult as can be for him to get this 30-piece. But ultimately, Shai will not be the reason, and he will not be the reason that we lose this game. He will not be the reason that we fall apart, because he's just constantly giving buckets. So I think this is an element that I will keep my eye out for come game 4, is just seeing the decision making of the Pacers, if they will continue to double and send multiple people at SGA. And then also, I'm curious what SGA can do, because SGA he only shot 6 free throws, and this is insane for him. And this is ultimately why people say he had a bad game, even though he had 24 points and 8 assists. So, it's crazy, but when SGA, he looked a little flustered out there. And I promise, I'm not saying this because I'm hating or nothing, but SGA definitely looked flustered in game 3. It was a lot of pressure coming at him. It was a lot of different people coming at him. They was on his head all game, full court pressing him. So when he did make mistakes, they were heavy and they were impactful. We seen him travel in the middle of the game. Like, come on, man. This is a guy whose game is very, very, very smooth. Can score on anybody, very well put together, very decisive in the moves that he's making. And yet Indiana forced him to make a lot of bad passes, a lot of turnovers, and just bad decisions out there. So it's credit to Indiana, but SGA, he's definitely going to have to readjust and kind of realign his mental state of just staying calm again, because, man, I think a lot of it had to do with the crowd as well, because Pacers, they was cutting up, man. They was cutting up out there. So I'm glad I got to see that. It was a lovely game above all. And, I'm excited to see how this affects the series, because usually if it's a issue of a team is winded, a team has lost legs, usually that don't end well for a 7-game series. And I'm no expert. I don't know for sure. I'm not a scientist or nothing like that. But based on what I've seen there, it looked like the Thunder just lost some legs. It lost like a lot of wind trying to keep up with that Pacers team in game 3. Now, will they come back energized tomorrow? who knows? And that's also scary to think of because they don't have a 2-day rest period like they had between game 1 and game 3 and game 2 and game 3. Like, no. This is just all right, you get 1 day rest and then you back at it. So I don't know if that's enough recovery time to get your wind back and get your legs back, whatever you got to do. But in game 3, them boys look exhausted. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm curious of how this game will shape the rest of the series and how this game will turn into, maybe 7 games. I predicted 7 games. I said Pacers in 7. So I'm excited to see, man. Both of these teams are great, and this is ultimately just some great basketball, man. This is an amazing series here. I know it don't have a big name attached to it or the big cities attached to it, but for the quality of basketball, it's definitely top tier. And I always say quality over market size. The quality is phenomenal. So I keep it at that. Anyway, look, man, we don't have any news, but we're going to jump to another segment here. The other segment is going to be, some superstar talk. You got to hear what people classify as a superstar, and I'm going to tell you what I classify as a superstar. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. It's halftime. All right, man, so let's jump into it, man. Of course, if you hear anything you agree with, disagree with, like or dislike, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on any of the topics I'm talking about or just something that's related to the game or unrelated to the game, whatever. Anyway, so the criteria for a superstar, let's hear it, man. Now, we've heard a couple different takes from, some people, former players and things like that. Like, I know the most popular one that's recent is Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson said the criteria for a superstar is if you can go on away games and you selling out stadiums, then in my book, you're considered a superstar. And I don't disagree with that. I think that's a very intriguing take right there from Magic Johnson, one of the GOATs, someone I would proclaim to be an actual superstar. But ultimately, I don't think someone is a superstar unless they're winning. So a superstar wins and continues to win until everybody gets to a point where a large people hate seeing them win and some people love seeing them win. So if you're not a superstar unless you're winning to a point where people hate to see you win and to a point where people love to see you win. Other than that, I don't want to hear it. You got to have a large majority hating you because you're so good, and you have to have the other majority that loves you because you are so good. And if that's not the case, to me, you're not a superstar. Unless there is one exception. The only exception there is if you change the rules in the games because of your play or you change in off-court, on-court rules, then that's an exception, which I'll explain a little bit later. But the reason I say that you have to win until people continue to get tired of seeing you win over and over and over and over and over again is because why else would, guys marvel over people like Jordan? Why do we marvel over people like Magic Johnson and Kobe and people like that, players like that who've won time after time? Ronaldo, Messi, Tom Brady, all of the greats who we consider superstars. To me, they're superstars because they continue to win until people hate it to watch them win over and over again. If you haven't gotten to that point, then you're not a superstar to me. You can have a superstar season. You can have a great season, an outstanding season. But above all, if you're not winning consecutively to a point where people hate to see you win, you're not a superstar. Because look at Dirk Nowitzki. Now, I use Dirk as an example because Dirk is a phenomenal player. We all know the skill set that he's possessed. He transcended the game in terms of post work, transcended the game in the way that he played it, in the skill set of the game. A lot of people try and play like Dirk. He's a tremendous player, someone I would consider an all-star, but I can never consider Dirk a superstar because when he won his first championship, even people from Miami was happy to see him win. Now, if he would have won 7 more times after that, everybody would have hated to see him continue to win over and over again. You would have had Lakers fans mad at you. You would have had Thunder fans mad at you. You would have had Miami Heat fans mad at you. You would have had Spurs fans mad at you. You would have had every single team on the West upset at him because he continued to win so much. And you would have had Eastern Conference teams upset at him because they didn't win a championship at all. So guys like Kobe, Mike, Magic Johnson, I throw Wilt Chamberlain in there because of how he transcended the game, which I'll explain. But there's only a handful of people where I could say they're superstars. Steph Curry, Again, using the other sports, Tom Brady is in there. Joe Montana, these different guys, like, I consider them stars because of how much they won. Now, here's the exception of why I say, there's one exception of if you're not winning and you can't be considered a superstar. The only way you can be considered a superstar if you're not winning consecutively and have a bunch of people that hate you and a bunch of people that love you is if you've changed the game. Now, Allen Iverson, skill set, obviously, we know he was amazing, but I consider Allen Iverson a superstar, not because of how much he was winning, but because he transcended the game. He transcended the rules on and off the court. You had to dress up. It was a dress code. You couldn't show tattoos. You couldn't wear jewelry. You couldn't do this. You couldn't do that. They did a lot of things to change the swagger and the things that Allen Iverson brought to the game of basketball, specifically in the NBA. So for that reason alone, I consider him a superstar. Every great player in the league today who has a little bit of influence is not changing rules in the game. So therefore, I can't consider them a superstar. Another example, Wilt Chamberlain. This dude literally invented the goaltending rule. How could you not consider him a superstar when he was so good that the league had to say, you know what? Hell no, that's cheating. We can't allow that anymore because that's actually unstoppable. And we have nothing we can do about it. So we got to make a rule that just says you can't do that anymore because you're the only person that can do it. And no, we can't have that. To me, Wilt is a superstar for that reason because he transcended the game and altered the rules based on how good he was at his specific position and during his time period. So because of those things, I'm like, I think the criteria for a superstar definitely is different. And anybody, let's say anybody who has some sort of stardom and can be an all-star in their sport is not considered a superstar. I think we often get it twisted and we get it mixed up between superstar and an all-star or a great player. Like superstar to me is like on a mega stage, like you're bronze status, you're Jordan status, you're Kobe status, you're Magic Johnson status, you're Larry Bird status. Like to me, that's a superstar. Right now, we have no superstars in the NBA outside of the crew that's on the back end, Steph Curry, Bron, KD, and those type of guys. But even then, it took them a certain amount of time to get to where they were winning and people hated to see them win in order to become a superstar. Right now, nobody's winning that much where we could say, oh, I'm so tired of seeing him win every single year. No, until you get to that point, you're not a superstar. We've seen it happen with all the greats. And to me, that's my standard of if someone is a superstar or an all-star. Halliburton, all-star, great player, but I can't consider him a superstar. SGA, great player, can't consider him a superstar. All-star. Jason Tatum got himself a ring. Now, if he would have went back this year, then maybe we could start having the conversations. But these conversations of a superstar is a little premature because he's only been there once. He took care of business, but he hasn't been back. We've seen Bron get to the finals 9+ consecutive times. Of course he's a superstar. Everybody hated to see him get there. You had the Celtics mad. You had every other team in the Eastern Conference hating this man. And you got to mention the teams on the Western Conference who had to play him and was hating him too. So because of that reason, I can't consider everyone a superstar. I'm going to go, a lot of people right now are stars, and they'll get to superstar status, but I can't say anyone in the league just yet is a superstar out of the young talent that we have evolving in the NBA right now. I can't say it. No, man. I can't say it. Like even I go back to like the soccer analogies too, like Messi, Ronaldo. I mean, it's just star status. That's superstar status. These guys have won. And you can argue with some people, but it's a reason why nobody calls Harry Kane the GOAT. It's a reason why nobody called Harry Kane the GOAT, because he ain't won as much as Messi or Ronaldo. So it's like, I take that same logic and put it in the NBA. Nobody has won as much as Kobe, LeBron, and Jordan, and Magic Johnson. So I can't consider them superstars. They're great players. They're all-stars. But I can't consider them superstars. Lamine Yamal, he's a great player. And actually, he's got a hell of a resume because he's been kicking butt. But still, he's still very young. So he gotta keep winning to get to that superstar status. So that's my thing on that in terms of if someone's a superstar, if they're not a superstar. I think it comes and goes. But ultimately, look, man, that's all I got for y'all. So I appreciate you for kicking it with me. Appreciate you for hanging in, tuning in on the live stream if that's where you're watching. But I'm gonna leave y'all with a positive note. And the positive note is just gonna be patient, man. Just be patient, wait your turn. Keep believing, but be patient. Whatever it is you're hoping for will come to light. Whatever it is you're hoping for, it will happen. But be patient, enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey as you go. All right, and that's all I got, man. Interpret that however you want to. But we'll be back. It's about to be the weekend, so we'll be back later on next week. Yeah, we'll be back next week, man. Game 4 is tomorrow. Excited about that. Super cool. And yeah, man, y'all have a great weekend. So I'm gonna get up out of here and take off. But I'll see y'all later on next week, and so on and so on and so on.